Don't worry, Real Dealies, we haven't been canceled.
Well, not yet, at least.
Which is honestly surprising considering that one time.
No, hey, whoa, Eli, we are sworn not to mention that. Don't you remember? I mean, come on, we were sworn to secrecy. What, you don't know what the higher-ups will do to us if we say that.
You mean...
No, don't say his name, Eli, come on.
Well, he's our sponsor.
Okay, but don't say it because if you stink it, if you say it, who knows what'll happen? You might fail your media law test.
Fair enough. But from Ball State University, the real deal starts now. Jeez.
Welcome back to this adventurous episode of The Real Deal, Ball State's premier entertainment news show. I'm Brangelo Presents.
And I'm Eli Brunsman. This week we have Star Wars Mutiny, a TV recommendation, and no music.
No music. Yeah, we watched Footloose, and we got so inspired. So inspired, in fact, we made bacon. Kevin Bacon, that is.
Unfortunately, Kevin Bacon declined to come and be on the show.
Yeah, well, something about him being rich and famous and not having enough quality time to spend with, that's... It's kind of, ruins the moment.
But Nathan Richard is the next best thing to Kevin Bacon, and here he is.
I'm Nathan Richard, and I'm here with this week's Hollywood headlines. First up in director news, next summer's Chris Pratt vehicle Cowboy Ninja Viking has hired Michelle McLaren to direct the action comedy. McLaren is a highly established television director who has helmed episodes of hit shows such as Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, and The Walking Dead. She was also going to originally direct the Wonder Woman movie, though she dropped out and was replaced with Patty Jenkins. Cowboy Ninja Viking will follow a man with multiple personality disorder, played by Pratt, who participates in a government program that makes him a super soldier with the attributes of a cowboy, a ninja, and a Viking. The film will hit theaters on June 28, 2019. Also in the world of directors, Sony Pictures has hired Straight Outta Compton and the Fate of the Furious director F. Gary Gray to direct its Men in Black spin-off/reboot. No plot details are known about the project yet, other than the fact that Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones will not be involved with the project, and that one of the two leads will be a woman. Sony has been trying to find a way to reboot the franchise. A few years ago, it was revealed that they were planning to do a Jump Street/Men in Black crossover, but that idea was ultimately scrapped. The untitled Men in Black spinoff will hit theaters June 14th, 2019. Back in November, it was reported that Illumination Entertainment, the animation studio behind box office hits such as Despicable Me, The Secret Life of Pets, and Sing, was in talks with Nintendo to make an animated Super Mario Bros. Movie. Nintendo finally confirmed that the project was happening this past Thursday, and that Nintendo representative director Shigeru Miyamoto will be producing the film. This won't be the first time Mario has jumped to the big screen, as back in 1993, there was the critically panned Super Mario Bros., starring Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo. Hopefully this one turns out better. Finally, it was reported that Tom Hanks will play Mr. Rogers himself in the biopic You Are My Friend from TriStar Pictures. The film will be based upon the real-life relationship between Rogers and journalist Tom Junod, and will follow a cynical journalist who is tasked to write a profile piece on the television icon and soon finds his perspective on life transformed. Diary of a Teenage Girl director Maria Heller will direct. I'm Nathan Richard, and that's it for this week's Hollywood headlines.
Thanks, Nathan. It sounds like the movie will be a real odyssey, if you know what I'm saying. The Mario movie?
Hopefully audiences don't boo it.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Or otherwise, the critics will be the last of us watching video game movies.
That's not a Mario game.
Now to switch gears.
Angelo, stop with the puns now because it's not the time.
All right, my bad. Well, my apologies. This next topic deserves a lot more weight than we can give it, to be frank. So, however, our new addition, Tiara Spells, definitely can. Take it away, Tiara.
With the Me Too movement in full effect in Hollywood, from Harvey Weinstein to Kevin Spacey to James Franco, we're seeing the careers of many alleged abusers fall apart right before our eyes. With Kevin Spacey being removed from House of Cards to James Franco not getting an Academy Award nomination for The Disaster Artist and being removed from the cover of Vanity Fair, It seems like Hollywood is trying to take the right steps toward distancing themselves from these alleged abusers. However, there is one man who seems to be getting very little backlash from the controversy surrounding him, and that man is Woody Allen, whose daughter Dylan Farrow wrote a letter calling him out after he won the Cecil B. DeMille Award at the Golden Globes in 2014. Actress Diane Keaton recently took to Twitter to defend Allen, saying, "Woody Allen is my friend, and I continue to believe him," then linking to a 1992 60 Minutes interview with Allen. Alec Baldwin also took to defending Allen, and he criticized actors who denounced working with him. People have also criticized actress Scarlett Johansson for saying it's all guesswork in regard to the allegations against Allen, yet calling out James Franco at this year's Women's March. Kate Winslet even raved about working with him, calling him an extraordinary writer who was known for creating very powerful and complicated roles for women. But not everyone is defending Allen. After being cast in shooting the yet-to-be-released Allen film, Rainy Day in New York, Rebecca Hall, Griffin Newman, and Timothée Chalamet have all announced regret for working with Allen and have all decided to donate their salaries to RAIN, Time's Up, and the LGBT Center of New York, respectively. Selena Gomez, who also stars in the film, has even been reported as making a donation to Time's Up exceeding her salary from the film. But they aren't the only ones. Actress Ellen Page and Lady Bird director Greta Gerwig have both expressed regret for working with Allen, and even Kate Winslet, who I just mentioned as having praised him only a few months ago, has recently expressed bitter regrets for working with individuals whom she wished she had not. Winslet did not name any names, but she has starred in films both by Woody Allen and Roman Polanski. And according to IndieWire.com, an anonymous industry exec says the film will either not come out or will get dumped by Amazon without PR or theatrical release. While others say Woody Allen will always have his fans who will support him no matter what. Time can only tell what will happen with Rainy Day and Woody Allen, but until then, we should continue holding the people accountable for their actions and amplifying the voices of the many who have been silent for so long.
Thank you, Tiara.
We'll be right back after this break.
Chief!
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Time to go hunting!
Bit early, isn't it, Doug? Right, grab a spear.
Oh, it's pointy.
Change your underpants today?
Yeah, change the...
I have seen gods fly. I've seen men build weapons that I couldn't even imagine.
Uh-huh.
I've seen aliens drop from the sky.
Listen, Mum, I've got guests over. Can I call you a bit later?
Welcome back, and thanks for sticking with us. We know we don't have as many star-studded, wacky commercials as the Superb Owl.
Oh yes, Dr. Ronald's version of that one show that some people would call super.
Bowling is super fun, wouldn't you agree, Angelo?
Well, but in this case, I just don't want to get a strike, if you know what I'm saying. So.
Please don't take this video down, Info.
No, please. On second thought, just send a ditzy British cop who is way too nice for her own good and needy for love and compassion, but also a bad mamma jamma when it comes to ruling the seas with her cowardly brother.
I think you're getting things confused, so we're going to go straight to Madison Miguels' review. Madison?
Okay.
Disclaimer, there are spoilers ahead. I'm going to need you to pardon my French for just one moment while I say the title of this unbelievable, surprisingly excellent Netflix binge, End of the F***ing World. After seeing this show pop up as ads all over the internet, I decided to finally sit down and watch it. It seemed peculiar enough to spark my interest. The story follows two teens, James and Alyssa, who are anything but normal. James's ambition is to become a psychopath, and Alyssa is seeking someone to finally give her the time of day. She becomes James's perfect target and new girlfriend. Before I get too off track, let's start with James, who at the wee age of 8 realized he didn't have a sense of humor. It might have something to do with the fact that his dad is a walking dad joke, but with his monotone voice over to life, he is lacking a certain something. Sanity, maybe? He has the makes of being a serial killer, his obsession with killing dead animals, sticking his hand in a fryer, lack of communication skills, his interest in killing a girl who randomly walked up to him in the cafeteria and announced him to be her boyfriend. Oh, he also has flash visions of the girl lying on the floor in her own pool of blood. Let's not forget that detail. The girl being Alyssa, who is blunt, rude, and eager to find someone just as out of place and willing to protest social norms as she is. Mostly she's eager for adventure and to experience something outside of the small England town in which she lives. Her mom and stepdad act like she doesn't exist, engrossed in her siblings, and her dad went AWOL when she was a girl. But he sends her a card every year for her birthday. However, she's the only one to seem to get a lick of emotion out of James. The Bonnie and Clyde-esque romance begins when Alyssa decides to run away to her father and take James with her. James sees it as a perfect opportunity to kill her after an already failed attempt. So he hides a hunting knife in his pants, decks his dad, and steals his car. From there, let's just say there are a few minor hiccups. The car explodes, hitchhiking goes wrong, they break into a murderous lunatic author's house, kill said murderer, James decides murder is not his thing, gets some makeovers, and take a bow with ambiguous shots fired running from the law scene. Regular everyday teenage stuff. The show itself is genius. It's more than your traditional boy meets girl. They run away together and they find themselves along the way. It's a coming-of-age story where James and Alyssa think they know who they are, but discover they're completely different from who they thought they were. Both main characters are intricately developed through their main uncensored journey together. Individual voiceovers and flashbacks. Slowly the story unfolds in front of the viewer as to why the characters act and make decisions the way they do. James is a confused kid, acting the only way he knows how, and Alyssa is acting out in need to be seen in a world that overlooks her. As a viewer, you get to see an emotional depth within each character, and the series only lasts roughly 2.5 hours. Their story is supported by secondary characters like the good cop, bad cop duo who are hunting the two down after the murder. While Dargo couldn't care less about the kids and their motives, Noon tries to figure out why these kids did what they did, and before James turns 18 and can be tried as an adult. Before the piercing end, Noon, who's a bit ditzy and too nice for her own good, tries to convince the kids to turn themselves in, and she'll offer her help. Mistakes are made, and she ends up knocked out on the floor while James and Alyssa make their great escape, which is fuddled by the police force. Through growth, mistakes, and realization, the final seconds become the most agonizing of the series. As their worlds figuratively come to an end, James makes a self-sacrifice that leads the viewers to guess his fate. Overall, the series is engrossing. It has an A+ soundtrack, compelling story and writing, and terrific acting from the two leading new faces. It also pushes boundaries unlike shows before it and spikes the addictive quality shows strive for. Overall, I'd give it a solid 4.5 out of 5 and would highly recommend giving it a watch. On that note, that's all I have for today. Stay tuned till next time. I'm Madison Miguel.
Thanks, Madison, but be careful or Kyle might have to wash your mouth out with that soap he's been churning in his backyard.
Why his backyard?
Because he's a pilgrim, Eli.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Wait, what's the next segment? I feel a disturbance in the force.
It's our new segment producer, Tyler Landis, ranking the Star Wars movies.
Disney did a lot of great things when they bought the rights to Star Wars. One of the not so great things was canceling the video game Star Wars 1313. Uncool, Disney. Uncool. So seeing how it's episode 1313, I've decided to take it upon myself to give you my opinion of the Star Wars movies ranked worst to best. At number 9, I have The Last Jedi. Now, while this is the newest entry in the franchise, I can undoubtedly say that this film is the worst in the lineup. From the pointless journey that Finn and Rose go on to Cantonica, which could have been avoided entirely if Vice Admiral Holdo would have just told her plan to the crew, or to killing off half the villains in the film with no character arcs. The film just doesn't do a good job of staying interesting, and it virtually erased everything that was set up in the previous film. Now, it did have a few great moments, but not enough to save it from the rest of the film. For the number 8 spot, I have The Phantom Menace. Now, I think we can all agree that Jar Jar Binks is the worst character that's ever been introduced in the Star Wars canon. While the movie did introduce us to the joy that was pod racing and the Darth Maul duel, it wasn't enough to save the pain of the rest of the movie. If Jar Jar wasn't bad enough, you have to sit through the riveting explanation of midichlorians, the horrible CGI, and, well, just boring conversations about trade treaties. On to number 7, I have Attack of the Clones, which was a perfect example of how you turn a cute kid into a creepy and whiny teenager. And while we are talking about things that we don't like, let's talk about the horrible writing, shall we? With a love story only barely better than Twilight, we're left wondering who let Madison McGill into the writing room. At the number 6 spot, we have Return of the Jedi. Wrapping up the original trilogy, we have a film that brings everything we loved from the previous 2 installments and puts a nice, neat bow on things. However, it's not without its flaws, mainly a certain bounty hunter's death by the hands of a man who couldn't see what he was doing. not the most dignified way to go. And at number 5, we have The Force Awakens, which is just a more fresh and clean A New Hope, so fresh and so clean that you'd think it was a Tide ad. And speaking of A New Hope, it's my number 4 spot. The film that started it all holds the place on the upper half of the board by having not only a wide array of fun and relatable characters, but also providing us with an intriguing yet simple story about a young farm boy going on a quest to save the princess. Sound familiar? Now, while it does have its fair share of flaws, such as some bad acting, most notably Princess Leia's accent change, it's still a fun flick for everyone to enjoy. Rogue One comes in at the number 3 spot, and for a good reason. The first in a long list of Star Wars stories, it captures the essence of the franchise perfectly. Starring Felicity Jones and Diego Luna, and many others, takes us on a fun, albeit cheesy at times, story about the crew who stole the Death Star plans. This delightful tale gets us emotionally invested in its characters just to rip them away a short time later. All right, Disney, I'll forgive you for that 1313 mishap. Just stop killing people I love. For number 2, it's Revenge of the Sith in the spotlight. Being a prequel, I can feel the hate coming on for this one, but Revenge of the Sith is, and I can say this confidently, one of the greatest Star Wars films to have ever been made. Now, sure, it still suffers from some bad writing, just like the prequels, but that doesn't stop it from being a classical romp full of humor, drama, action, and child murder. The Opera House scene alone provides us with some of the best dialogue and storytelling in the whole franchise, and that duel with Anakin and Obi-Wan was nothing short of a masterpiece. And finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, number 1 is The Empire Strikes Back. Okay, if Empire was not your favorite Star Wars film, then you need to work out your priorities. With excellent writing and the biggest reveal of all time, how could you not pick it? Few films are perfect, but I think we can all agree that Empire really hits it out of the park. Well, that's going to do it for me. I've been Tyler Landis, and I always will be. Back to you, Eli.
Thank you, Tyler.
Eli, I got you covered. Let me handle this.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Hi, everyone. Hi. Welcome. I'm Angela. This is Brandon. Hi. And this is the first ever episode of Brangelo. Yeah, Brangelo. That's us. Presents the truth. You see, here on The Real Deal, we like to offer a bunch of different opinions. We accept everyone's opinions. Here, Tyler Landis just gave his opinion of the ranking of the Star Wars series. We respect that. Yeah, we want him to express his opinion. Yeah. We're gonna put out the truth. Yeah, this is the truth. This is the official Real Deal sponsored ranking.
So he's one guy. Tyler Landis is one guy. We're 2 guys.
That makes it official.
2 times 1 equals 2. Yeah. So 2 is equal. Yeah. So let's start with
Empire.
Number 1, Empire.
Empire Strikes Back.
No arguments here. The Empire Strikes Back is a very good movie.
Good movie. Then we're gonna go Star Wars.
Star Wars. As you might know, for any of you '90s kids out there that don't know anything,
New Hope. No,
it's not called a New Hope. More like a
No
Hope. Oh my god. Oh my god, that was a terrible.
All right, so we're gonna go Star Wars. We're gonna go New Hope.
Yeah,
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Then here we go.
Okay,
we're jumping off the original trilogy bandwagon. I think we'll Force Awakens.
Force Awakens.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm good with
okay.
that. Because it's like that, but just a little worse.
So Force Awakens, is this only new?
Yeah, it's got CGI. It's got J.J. Abrams.
It's got Kylo Ren.
It's got Simon Pegg and a big puppet with
big
dumb
puppet.
arms.
Big puppet Simon. Okay.
Okay. Quick question. The Wrath of Khan. Where are we putting it?
I want to put an asterisk because this is where Wrath of Khan would go if more people accepted it in the canon. So asterisk is Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, it was weird when they were doing the EU thing, like no EU, no comic books, and the Wrath of Khan is out.
We're gonna put Return of the Jedi after that.
Okay.
After where Wrath of Khan would be.
Okay.
And then here's where it gets tricky.
Okay.
I think we break the Landis opinion here.
Okay.
I think we go Last Jedi.
I agree with that.
There's that, and then Force Awakens, and
yes.
things get sour. Okay, we're gonna do that. We're gonna go the last, and then we can go Rogue.
But not The Last Rogue. That's not a movie that exists.
No, not yet. In 20 years, Last Rogue, First Rogue.
Last Rogue gets
and then we're gonna go. Actually, no. Let's show some respect. We'll show What am I doing here? We're gonna show Revenge of the Sith here.
Revenge of the Sith.
And then we're gonna go down a couple miles.
Down a few miles.
And then we're gonna go down really all the way. We're at James Cameron territory here at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna go Phantom
slash
clones slash Star Trek Nemesis.
Star Trek Nemesis.
And that is the official ranking.
Yeah, I just think there's another thing that is similar to quality in here, and that is loaded corpse.
Yes.
So there you go. The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, by science, is just as good as a bloated corpse.
So there you go, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Whew. Just like when I used to bullseye womp rats on my T-16 back home. All right, Eli?
Wait, was that the actual line?
Yeah, that's an actual line in Star Wars. So what did you think, Eli?
That was rough, coarse, irritating, and it got everywhere.
Oh, well, I thought the same while watching Tyler's segment, so.
I'm not even going to justify that with a response because we'll be right back.
Good morning, wife.
Good morning, husband.
Don't ask me.
Once upon a time, in a beautiful wood, there lived a rabbit named Peter with a blue jacket.
Sorry!
And no.
Bonjour, vous désirez quelque chose?
Snacks coming at 12 o'clock.
Gentlemen? There you go.
Thank you. Look at the baby soda, Spencer.
Welcome back, everyone, from a galaxy far, far away.
Enough Star Wars.
All right, geez, a cookie dinner or something to make up for it.
Hate to burst your bubble, Angelo, but I've tried your spinach casserole before, so I think I'm gonna let Josie take the reins on this one. Josie?
That's fair.
When I'm bored alone in my dorm, the first thing I like to turn on is the Food Network. I like to watch all the different dishes and competitions that the chefs can come up with. So here are my top 5 cooking and baking shows that you should tune into. At number 5 is Worst Cooks in America. In this high-intensity cooking competition, Amber Elle brings in some of the worst cooks you have ever seen in your life and throws them into boot camp. It's a bad cook's worst nightmare when they must learn how to fillet whole fish, not burn every dish, and make it to the finale where 2 chefs cook for 3 industry professionals in an actual restaurant. This show hilariously shows just how terrible a cook can be and how lost someone can look next to a stove. Now, let us move on to the next show. Number 4 is Beat Bobby Flay. In this show, professional chefs come onto it to, you guessed it, take down reigning Iron Chef Bobby Flay. 2 of Bobby's friends decide which chefs have the skills to beat Bobby, and it turns out most don't. But this show is full of action-packed cooking and puns. It's a show where Bobby fillets the competition. Number 3 is Chopped. This is a show that's been going on for 35 seasons. 4 competitors compete for $10,000 while cooking in 3 rounds: appetizer, entree, and dessert. In these rounds, there is a basket of 4 ingredients that the chefs must use in their dishes. And if their dish doesn't cut it, they will be chopped. And this show is great to watch because the competitors panic at the fact that these strange ingredients just don't work together, but they have to have a dish ready in 20 minutes. It's really exciting to watch. Coming in at number 2 is the Great British Baking Show. Now, this show isn't on Food Network, but it's on Netflix, but it's a great show and I felt I had to mention it. In this show, 12 amateur bakers are put to the test when they must create magical dishes for the judges, Paul Hollywood and Mary Berry. This is a hilarious show with great bakers, punny hosts, and the threat of being sent home every week. Also, the British accents on the show just make it that much better. Even people I know who don't like cooking shows at all love this show. I'm going to go against the grain here and say that this is the second best show on air. And coming in at the number 1 spot is Cupcake Wars. In Cupcake Wars, 4 bakers compete against each other to make amazing cupcake displays. That one baker's cupcakes will be shown at a Hollywood event along with winning $10,000. Each episode has a different theme ranging from Ninja Turtles to weddings to even cheerleader cupcakes, so it's a different show every time you watch it. The host is hilarious and the cupcakes that these makers bake are incredible to see. It's a show that makes you wish that you had the skills to make something like that. This show is just the icing on top to this top 5 list. There are plenty of other cooking shows out there that would deserve an honorable mention, but they've been chopped from this list. So with that, I'm Josie Underhill. See you next time.
Thanks, Josie. See me after the show because I could clearly use a few pointers.
And now, strap in and get prepared for an obnoxious hipster segment brought to you by a chubby Ron Weasley with cholesterol problems.
Eli, come on, don't be rude now. I mean, he's clearly pre-diabetic General Hux.
Angelo, what did we say about the Star Wars references?
Sorry, I swear that was the last one. Or was it?
No! Here's Brandon with his top 5 Sundance movies.
If you follow our Twitter account, you may have noticed that I was at the Sundance Film Festival a couple weeks ago. It was an incredible time. You know, it's really cold out, you're in the middle of the woods, you have to walk uphill to get anywhere, the air's really thin, you're constantly in lines for movies you might not get into, and the only reasonably achievable fast food option from the condo we were staying at was a Burger King that sold tacos. But yeah, I guess I saw some pretty incredible movies. Yeah, sure, I suppose. All joking aside, it was an incredible privilege to go, and these are my top 5 films from this year's Sundance Film Festival. Coming in at number 5 is Blind Spotting. Now, I've talked about Daveed Diggs about 1 billion times on this program before, but I still feel the need to toot his horn. In this film, which, by the way, he co-wrote and stars in, he plays a man from Oakland whose parole is almost up. We follow his wacky misadventures from there. The movie certainly has a lot of cutting commentary against gentrification, hipsters, police brutality, and the criminal justice system. Fortunately, the socially aware points are given a cohesive script with proper weight against the buddy comedy stylings on display. Not to get into spoilers, but I love the way the film incorporates music and rapping in particular into the narrative. P.S. Daveed Diggs is a star and he's awesome in it. At number 4 is Revenge. I saw this movie at midnight with an amped up crowd in a crowded theater, and that only enhanced the experience. The film follows a woman who is assaulted by one of her married suitor's associates and then is left to die. After a certain incident happens in the movie, it enters a cartoon world, something along the lines of I Spit on Your Grave, and then it becomes more fun than a barrel of monkeys to watch. There's just such a rush watching this woman get back at all of these terrible people. The gore effects are absolutely phenomenal and made me genuinely repulsed in a few instances, which is rare for a gorehound like me. There's a scene that makes Die Hard look like the Boss Baby. It's brutal, it's fun, it's cathartic, check it out. At number 3, I have a lot of things to say about this one. It's either terrible or a movie that transcends the notion of the spectrum of quality as the critical body knows it currently in this dimension, and that's Mandy. To attempt to describe Mandy is like trying to describe a dream you had in an overheating tanning bed while under the influence of magic mushrooms. On one level, it's about Nick Cage taking revenge on a cult for severely wronging him. On another level, it's about nothing at all. On yet another level, it's about Nick Cage snapping a guy's neck and then smiling directly into the camera, then doing drugs off of a shard of glass. I cannot say that this movie's for everyone. There were a ton of people who just walked out of this thing, and there was even a decent collection of whiny square hipsters who hated it at the end of the film. But if you think a Nick Cage movie with a chainsaw sword fight is up your alley, look out for this one. Sitting at number 2 is You Were Never Really Here, a good movie. This is an incredibly intense, cerebral, brutal film about Joaquin Phoenix rescuing children from child trafficking and murdering their abusers. Phoenix is excellent in this thing, but you could have guessed that on your own. What really blew me away was the sheer intensity of the filmmaking. The film barely shows on-screen violence, but it still feels incredibly uncompromising and detailed. The sound design was completely out of this world and closer to David Lynch than anything else. It managed to be genuinely upsetting while still providing a solid emotional core. The editing was hypnotic. The action scenes that are there are incredibly staged, most notably a fight captured on various security cameras around the building. This is a must-see. You'll be scared of hammers for about a week. Now, you know what number 1 is. You know, come on. I've been on and on about it on the Real Deal's Twitter page as well as my own. It's Assassination Nation, and it might be a perfect movie. I don't want to say too much because it really helps to go into this thing as blind as possible. What I will say is that this film details what happens when a town loses its mind over a group of teenage girls and their alleged actions. I've been reading a lot of reviews from critics who are older than us, older than college-aged millennial people who don't get it, who think that this movie's commentary is too broad, or that the movie thinks it's more important than what it actually is. But what these older critics don't really realize is that this movie was basically tailor-made for young people like us, for the modern millennial. The way that it handles call-out culture, texting, love in the digital age, sex positivity, and the death of privacy seems so specific to the right here and right now. What these characters experience is what all modern teens experience, although it is heightened and brought to its logical and horrifying conclusion by the third act. Pair that with incredible sharp dialogue and commentary with a biting sense of humor, one of the best tracking shots of all time, I'll just say that, and not one, not two, but three perfect endings, and you have one of the best movies of the past few years, one of the best movies of the decade, one of the best movies of the century. I can't stop and I won't stop talking about this movie. Well, I had a good time at Sundance. Until next time, this is Brandon Krakowski.
Thanks, buddy. You know, Eli, it's so cool that one of us got to go to one of the biggest movie festivals out there.
Definitely, almost as cool as this shameless plug.
Oh, no, Eli, we don't have a shameless plug this week. We had to push back the web exclusives to make way for the truth, the special episode, so.
Really?
Yeah, Eli, the Star Wars universe had to be defended, but not to worry. The web exclusives and shameless plugging will be back in full force next week.
And we'll be back after the break.
Force. Like, force.
There's nothing I love more than a creepy, modern drama series. And since we've finally gotten a release date for The Handmaid's Tale Season 2, I thought it might be fun to talk about what we can expect. I'd like to issue a spoiler alert before I start, so if you've not seen Season 1, you might want to mute your device. This show centers around a bleak, futuristic version of America called Gilead. Fertility is dwindling down quickly, and politicians come up with a strange plan to repopulate the world. We get to see Alfred try to figure out exactly what's going on in this messed up version of America. Season 1 ended just where the book does. Alfred is pushed into a black van and sent away from her posting. But what will happen to her in Season 2? First, she'll definitely be forced to testify against the creepy and insane Commander Waterford. Although he is an elite member of society, he has gone against many of his promises and expectations. It's almost certain that he will be executed or something. But unlike Game of Thrones, this series is lacking more satisfying character deaths. So honestly, we all want to see this happen. Second, if Alfred's able to escape, I think she will get to reunite with her husband now that she knows he's alive. And hopefully she'll be able to reunite with their friends as well. But third, there's the question of which guy she will choose. She still loves her husband, but she thought he was dead, and Nick is this new, appealing guy who's been there for her when almost no one else was. And fourth, will she be able to see her daughter Hannah again? Alfred clearly misses her more than anyone else in the show. We can only hope that her friends and family fight to help reunite them. I highly recommend this show. It's wonderfully acted, Emmy Award winning, and it's on Hulu, the streaming platform that everyone forgets about. That's all I have for you today, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, Eli. So, I'll be the first to admit that when I think of the Super Bowl, the last thing I consider is how many big-named film trailers are going to be revealed amongst the rest of its expensive commercials. Instead, when I hear Super Bowl, I think of social gatherings, delicious food, not knowing what's going on, but yelling whenever anyone else does so that you fit in. But nonetheless, we had a ton of entertainment news drop during the big game, including, but not limited, to the reveal and the release of The Cloverfield Paradox, a new trailer for Solo, A Star Wars Story, meh, and lastly, my topic for today, the second big Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom trailer. So, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom began as a movie that just caused my nerdy little brain to go into fits of rage over pretty much everything that they showed me in the first trailer. Jurassic Park is my personal favorite movie of all time. It holds a super near and dear place in my heart. So watching the island be blown apart and CGI dinosaurs dodging explosions, I thought, you know what? This might not be the film for me. I mean, controversial opinion here, I liked Jurassic World. I thought it was a fun, modern take for the franchise, but it worked as a standalone product, But of course, given that it made Scrooge McDuck levels of money, of course I'm not surprised that the filmmakers decided to dive right back in. But I admit that I'm so tentative about this movie, a movie that I should be excited about. Now, the newest trailer removes some of my anger for sure, but all it does to replace those feelings is replace them with genuine shame and a whole lot of confusion. Like, you're really bringing another young adult actor who hilariously screams like a 2011 preteen at the sight of Jay Beebs? You're bringing back the illustrious, the fantastic Jeff Goldblum to reprise his role as one of my favorite characters in cinema, but then you just bring him back to have him repeat his famous "Life Finds a Way" line in the most obvious attempt at a nostalgia grab ever. You take the worst part of Lost World, aka the dinosaurs on the mainland, and you stretch it out and do it again? You succeed in a fun, a different premise of a man-made monster dinosaur in the previous film, and you do it again. Like, seriously? None of this makes any sense. Like, okay, listen. Here's the tip of the issue here. I can accept that the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World franchise, whatever, is a different franchise now. It consists of monster movies, popcorn flicks that give jump scares apparently, and explosions, and that trademark T-Rex roar. That's fine. For what it is, that's fine. And I showed an acceptance with the original Jurassic World. But this new trailer, this new film, even accepting all of those things, it still doesn't look like a good movie. Like not a good Jurassic Park movie, just not a good movie. Top to bottom, it looks lazy, uninspired, and brain-numbingly dumb. Even if it is a dumpster fire when it's all is said and done, I think it can still be fun. But the same can be said for a roller coaster that ends with you flying off the tracks. Like, sure, it can be fun to fly in the air for a few seconds, but when you go down and hit the ground, you're not going to have a good time.
True.
So.
Sounds like you're setting yourself up for a Jurassic letdown.
Good one, Eli. Man, the puns this episode are...
Yeah, there's been a little more than usual.
Maybe the writers should be replaced with Blue and her fellow raptors, huh? Okay, they may need to take up a new day job after this film. So, but before I get into that theory, let's wrap it up. So, if you want more from The Real Deal, and we know you do, check out our website, Facebook, and Twitter pages for news and updates on all things entertainment. I'm Angelo Oriema.
And I'm Eli Brunsman. We'll see you next time.